Loved hearing the student voices there. Thank you. We're going to move on to our recognition. First, we have our Golden Apple Awards. Dr. Bernia.
Thank you very much, Madam President, members of the board. Good evening. Our first Golden Apple Award winner tonight is Lisa Heitch. Lisa, we're going to have you come up and stand right there by the podium. Tonight's first Golden Apple recipient is Lisa Heitch, recently retired business and school store paraprofessional at Walled Lake Central High School. Lisa was nominated by Lisa Jostrab, career tech teacher at Walled Lake Central, because Lisa was a great role model for the students and staff. The students absolutely loved and trusted her. She was always there for the kids, and she's always looking out for others. In Lisa's nomination letter, Lisa shared, "Working with Lisa for 17 years has been a true joy for me. I'm honored to have worked with her and even more honored to have been her friend. We have missed her since she retired last year, and the store has not been the same without her." Lisa was an employee of Walled Lake for 27 years. Her dedication to Walled Lake Central was impressive, and her hard work was inspiring. Lisa loved her job and was amazing at it. Whenever she was tasked with trying something new in the school store or the career tech program, Lisa was always willing to embrace the challenge. She was always looking for ways to bring new life into the program. Lisa also routinely challenged students to think outside the box and become responsible human beings through the development of important life skills. Kyle Medier, principal at Central, supported Lisa's nomination, sharing, "Lisa worked hard on behalf of students at Walled Lake Central for many years. Her work in the school store helped provide learning experiences for students, giving them hands-on experience in the world of retail and marketing. Lisa's friendly demeanor and great sense of humor help her come to work each day with sunshine in her heart and a smile on her face." Before I conclude, Lisa's son is the assistant superintendent where my daughters go to school, and he never hesitates to stop and say hello to them, and is known not only to be exceptional at his job, but just to be a true caring professional. So a side note, she raises good kids too. Lisa, thank you for your commitment to the students and families of Walled Lake Central High School. We wish you nothing but the best in your retirement, and it's our honor to recognize you this evening.
You don't have to, but if you want to speak or say a couple words, you can. Okay.
Our second Golden Apple recipient tonight is Lila Nuzzi, French teacher at Walled Lake Central High School. Lila was nominated by Nancy Catula, Spanish teacher at Walled Lake Central, because Lila is always looking for new ways to create a passion for French with her students. This includes setting up programs with schools in France, where both classes engage in video calls, which allows students the ability to practice their non-native language together. Lila is a graduate of Walled Lake Central and takes great pride in returning to Central to teach. She's always sharing praises with the community about the district and, of course, Walled Lake Central. In Lila's nomination letter, Nancy shared, "You can always find students in her room before and after school, during lunch, etc. They love and adore her because she sees each one of them as an individual and is always there for all of them. As I stand at my door and watch students go into her room, it's always like they're walking into their home. Lila doesn't need to be told to do things. She knows what is best for her kids in her department, and she works hard making sure she goes above and beyond." Kyle Medier, principal at Central, agrees with Lila's nomination, saying, "Miss Nuzzi is a tireless educator, co-chairing our world languages department, leading our French club, serving as a WLEA representative in our building, and ensuring that instruction in her class is always innovative, engaging, and completely worthwhile. On any given day, Miss Nuzzi's classes could be Zooming with students across the Atlantic Ocean, creating French culinary delights, or judging French music videos. Lila is the type of teacher that every parent wants for their child." Lila, thank you for all you do for our students and for your efforts to continue to help them grow to be the best version of themselves. It's our honor to recognize you this evening. You can feel free to say something or not, your choice.
And we'll move on to the Betty Campion Support Person of the Year Award. Dr. Bernia?
So as I was getting prepared for tonight, I knew of the Betty Campion Award, but I discovered how special the Betty Campion Award is to Walled Lake because Mrs. Campion actually served on our Board of Education and served for 21 years as a PTA member in our district. And so that's nothing short of remarkable and a nice connection for us to this award. Nominees of the Betty Campion Award are a district's support staff person of the year. And so I can't think of anyone better to extol the virtues of our Betty Campion winner than Mrs. Kathy Russell, the principal of Wixom Elementary. So Kathy, come on up.
Thank you, Dr. Bernia. As Dr. Bernia said, my name is Kathy Russell, and I am the very proud principal at Wixom Elementary. I am thrilled to be here tonight to introduce to you our Walled Lake Schools Betty Campion Support Person of the Year nominee, Mrs. Patty Thorson Phillipson. She is our Wixom Elementary Social Emotional Support paraprofessional. I've had the great fortune of knowing Patty for nearly 20 years since our children attended Walled Lake Schools together. When her own children were in school, Patty used to volunteer at the schools, join field trips, and she was known for reading to the students in the classroom. Once her children left Walled Lake Schools, I was a teacher in the building, and Patty used to come and read to my class. When I became principal, she decided to come and read to other classes, and she would always bring the absolute best books that anybody could imagine, and the kids loved her. In March 2020, we hired her as our social emotional support para. And her primary role was to support students with their social emotional well-being using our social emotional program called Second Step. But as anyone in our school can tell you, she has become so much more than that. Patty has an absolute heart of gold. She cares deeply about everyone at Wixom Elementary. The students adore her and are always excited to see her and get to spend time with her. Miss Patty, as everyone lovingly calls her, has the ability to see and love the whole child, and the students can feel that. She makes connections with even our most challenging students so she can help them identify their feelings, make a plan, and handle whatever challenges come their way, always with the ultimate goal of helping them emotionally so they're ready to learn and grow at school. Patty makes everyone feel special and important, and most importantly, seen, and this is both for students and staff alike. She's always there to lend an ear, give a hug to anyone who needs it, and can often tell when someone needs it even before they say a word. As part of Patty's job, she continues to read books to our students to help them through difficult situations and to remind them how to be good people. And everyone knows Miss Patty has the best books. Part of our submission to the Oakland County included letters from some of our staff, and I just want to read a couple of excerpts of what some of our staff members said about her. Teresa Scussel, one of our first grade teachers, said, "Patty is a beloved and integral member of our staff. She lends books from her personal collections to teachers and students, and then always leaves a kind note or small gift for our staff members. She's wildly creative, and she dedicates time beyond her paid hours to create displays and bulletin boards to make our school look even more welcoming and inviting. Patty has developed many wonderful personal connections with our students. She's incredibly patient and instills a love of reading with our students. One time she purchased a drawing book for a student just because when she learned he loved to draw, she thought it might help him to draw when he was having social emotional difficulties. Alexis Magacy and Lindsay Lopez, two of Wixom's kindergarten teachers, said in a letter, "When Patty comes to our room, she reads wonderful books to our students, plays game, and most importantly, gives hugs. All the students look forward to spending precious time with our Miss Patty." Last year, when the kindergarten did a kindness project, Miss Patty helped support and facilitate this project by working with students to collect items for an animal shelter. She helps set the tone of kindness and relationships in our building. She gets students involved in helping make interactive bulletin boards with positive messages for our students. Not only does Miss Patty support our children, but she's also an amazing friend, colleague, and support system for our staff. So, as you can all see from this, it's clear why Miss Patty was selected as our Walled Lake Schools Betty Campion Award Support Person nominee for Oakland County. Patty is not only amazing at her job, but she's also an incredible role model, mentor, coach, and friend to all. You could not find a more wonderful and more deserving recipient for the Support Person of the Year than Miss Patty Thorson Phillipson. Congratulations.
Thank you, Kathy. I am so fortunate to be at Wixom Elementary. I have a limited skill set, but I love being a mom, and when my friends ask me what my job is, I'm the building mom. I really am. That's my job, so it comes really easy for me. So thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for all you do.
And we're going to move on to art recognition. Dr. Bernia.
At this time, it is my honor to introduce Jennifer Todd.
Hello, I'm just trying to get your wonderful, amazing work up on the screen so everyone can see it. Mrs. Sobel knows all the tricks. Well, I'm going to get started while she's getting your beautiful artwork up on the screen. Good evening. I'm Jennifer Todd, the Elementary Art Department Chairperson. On behalf of the Visual Art Department, it is my honor to welcome our distinguished artists, parents, guardians, dear family members, friends, to the opening reception for the spring, should I say summer? Spring Wild Lake Schools K-12 Visual Art Exhibition. What a gathering we have here tonight. Artists, look around. You see the smiles and the joy on everyone's faces. We are truly delighted to celebrate you today. Let's give a round of applause to the talented artists we are proud to celebrate. Spanning kindergarten through 8th grade, the show and recognition night is an extraordinary opportunity to feature talented students through the visual arts. Thank you to our Walled Lake School Board and our administration, visual arts teachers, and families for supporting our district visual arts programs and these students. We are grateful for the opportunity to be part of educating the whole child every day. Tonight we recognize a select number of artists from Glengarry Elementary with art teachers Miss Starler and Miss Warner. Featuring artists from Walled Lake Elementary with their amazing art teacher again, Miss Warner. Students also from Wixom Elementary with their wonderful art teacher again, Miss Starler. These amazing two ladies share Glengarry as well, so they're an amazing team. And then we also have from Clifford H. Middle School, art teachers, wonderful Miss Feld and Miss Card. Through a variety of media, the artists featured tonight demonstrate creativity, innovation, and visionary thinking. To honor the artists this evening, Superintendent Dr. Bernia will feature each artist by school. Artists, when your school is announced, all of the featured students from your school will walk to the front. So you guys all come up at one time to meet together and face the audience. When Dr. Bernia announces your name to celebrate your accomplishment, you, the artist, will walk over to your art teacher to receive your art show certificate. Next, you proudly return to your spot in the group as the other students are featured. After all the students from your school have been recognized, Dr. Bernia, our school board president, Mrs. Casagrande, and your art teacher, and if your administrator wants to come up, they can come up too. We'll stand behind all of you for a group photo opportunity. Parents and guardians, feel free to come up the center aisle at that time if you'd like to take a group photo. Artists, I always say a helpful hint is to hold your certificates and smile. You got it. After all of the schools are honored, before leaving, the board will have a brief intermission after the awards for families to exit. Congratulations, artists. We are so proud of you. Now, Dr. Bernia will call the first school to be featured. Congratulations.
right, we will open this evening with artists from Glengarry Elementary. Can you please come up and join your teachers? All right, congratulations to Melissa Plasko. Haley Kwitowski. Wyatt Gribus. Lanning Mikulich. Grace Lowe. Elena White. Asher Green. Lexi James. Natalie Burns. Victor Rangel Guzman. Austin Pearl. Harper Singleton. And Tori Harris. Would our artists from Wixom Elementary please come forward? Congratulations to Annalena Kushnaruk. Emma Lauritsen. Iris Wyman. Elliot Ware. Isabella Haddad. Brandon Stokes. Madden Geisler. Braden Naoki. Aaron Jackson. Carson Petrak. Arian Bashel. Skylar Yee. Jacob Trudeau. Aria Katari. Kaho Koski. Kodmiel Arabor. Sayana Koliva. Could we please have the artists from Walled Lake Elementary come forward? Congratulations to Wyatt Marcoux. Avery Salmons. Aria Case. Adam Isho. Christopher Vialda Ohendez. Leah Tungdorai. J.C. Melick. Alan Nino Lopez. Faith Bivens. Arthur Hill. Allison Holmes. Bella Abreu. Lucas Seismadia. Antonella Jarbo. Congratulations. And our last school this evening with the artists from Clifford Smart Middle School. Please come forward. What's that? Oh, yeah. Wait a... They got me. I have a great team. Got it. Thank you. Congratulations to Leonie Bustos. Shannon Blanchett. Lola Robach. Julia Gutierrez. Everly Hoover. Julia Drennan. Ava Petrovsky. Kaylin Fox. Addison Emmert. Eleanor Fraley. Anna Locke. Maribeth Smith. Arshavir Murshed. Charlie Strickland. Sasha Ismailova. Dasho Minkati. Bella Carrier. Vera Sakala. Savannah Tankersley. August Welsh. And Gabby Francis.
Okay, we're going to take about a 10-minute break and start back at 7:40. If you want to stay, you may. If you want to exit out at this time, that's fine too.
Testing. Testing.
Great. I said 7:40. I'm just waiting till 7:40 in case somebody was waiting to come back in at 7:40. I was trying to be true to my word. Somebody had more time. Okay, we're going to go ahead and reconvene with the rest of our regular portion of our board meeting. Our next topic is the superintendent update on goals. Dr. Bernia.
Thank you, Madam President. Earlier this evening, we met to really kind of dig deep on my goals and my performance since I started here. As you all know, and as the community is aware, I began my work in Walled Lake on October 17th. So this gives you a snapshot. I was able to give you a snapshot of what I've been doing as it relates to these different items. My first goal is to build what we call a data review cycle. So for those of you in the audience wondering about that, a data review cycle looks at various data points for the district in terms of demographic data, so who goes to our schools, who works in our schools, student achievement data, which obviously you're familiar with. It's how we're performing in reading and math. And then we have something that we call program data, so who's enrolled in our programs, do they go on to continue with the district? And then there's lastly perception data, so that would be survey information that comes to us from parents, from staff members, and the like. So I shared with the board some artifacts, I've shared with them some data points, and I'll continue to do that. A good data review cycle is refreshed every July, so we sit down and we say, did we learn what we wanted to learn last year? What questions do we have now? How do we want to move forward? And so each August, I'll update the board as to what we anticipate the cycle being for the year. And so this year, really October through June is really a lot of us working through various templates and structures and data points to see what's most user-friendly to my cabinet, to me, and to the board. So that's kind of where that stands. The second goal I have this year is to conduct a formal facilities review. So the board approved us working with Plant Moran Cressa on that. And so we've done on our team kind of a whole systematic view. So Plant Moran Cressa comes in and they do an analysis of our enrollment projections, birth rate. And it should come as no surprise if you follow the news. Families have gotten smaller, birth rate has gone down, and so schools across the state are making sure that they're managing their footprint efficiently and effectively. So that's a lot of the work that Plant Moran Cressa has helped us kind of think through. In addition to thinking about our schools, we've also thought about some of our other sites and some of our other facilities, as well as some of the other pieces of property and things that go along with the district. And so I was able to give the board a nice snapshot of that. And then lastly, my third goal is to focus on student growth. The law requires me, as well as instructional staff in schools, to have a growth component to our evaluation. So for me, I'm using the iReady assessment and graduation rate as a measure, which is a standard practice for most superintendents in Metro Detroit. So that is kind of the quick update. Certainly, for the folks at home and for the folks in the room, we had I think a pretty good session for about 90 minutes where I was able to present the work that I've been doing and collect some input and feedback from the board, which is really beneficial to me and will be really beneficial to me going forward. I just want to close by again saying I really do appreciate the opportunity to come to work here, and I've really enjoyed getting to know all of you, and I enjoy working for you very, very much. So with that is my report, Madam President.
Thank you. We'll now move on to Proclamation Volunteer Recognition Week. Dr. Bernia.
Volunteer Recognition Week is coming quickly. I do have a bias. My favorite group of volunteers happens to be seated at the table, and that's not just because we talked about my evaluation seconds ago. Doesn't hurt, but nevertheless. So I'm proud to read the proclamation. Whereas the week of April 17th through April 21st, 2023 has been designated Walled Lake Schools Volunteer Recognition Week to recognize the excellent contributions of all volunteers throughout the district. And whereas the volunteers of Walled Lake Schools are an outstanding group of volunteers, each and every one of them essential to maintaining the quality education we offer students. And whereas, although the Board of Education has honored volunteers on an individual basis during the year, the other devoted and dedicated volunteers in the district have received little formal recognition for their distinguished service. And whereas our volunteers are highly valued members of the Walled Lake Schools family, now therefore we, the members of the Walled Lake Schools Board of Education and Administration, hereby proclaim April 17th through April 21st, 2023, Walled Lake Schools Volunteer Recognition Week, and thank and congratulate all our school district volunteers for their excellent contributions to the education of the students of Walled Lake School District. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to move on to public commentary. I do have quite a few cards. If there's anybody out there who still does want to speak and hasn't turned in a card, the cards are out right when you leave the double doors to the right of me, left of you. And I would just ask that you bring it to Ms. Oval and she'll get it to me. I will call you up individually. I will try my best to do correct name pronunciation. If I mess up a little bit, I ask for a little bit of grace. For those of you who have not spoken before, you have up to 3 minutes. If you are getting close to that 3-minute time frame, Mrs. Levin here will let you know that you're close to that. If you are told time, then we just ask you that you finish what you're saying. You're not going to, you don't have to leave immediately. Just finish your thought, and then we'll move on to the next person. But we thank you for coming tonight, and I'm going to go ahead and call you up. You can come up to the podium if you'd like to speak. And the first person is Christine Titus.
Good evening. I'm Christine Titus, and I am a proud educator at Hickory Elementary, and some of my colleagues are joining me here tonight. And we just wanted to kind of let you know about some of the great things that are going on in our building. One of the first things that happened this week is our 5th graders are off to 5th grade camp, and look at the week that they've got to be there and just enjoy that outdoor center. So it's been a little quieter in the building, but I know that they're having a great time based on some of the tweets I've seen. We also started M-STEP this week, so some of that data, Dr. Bernia, is started to be gathered this week in our building, and I know across the district for our kiddos. Also in the past week and the past month or so, we've been blessed with some grants coming in. The Foundation for Excellence came in this week and blessed some of us with some money to enhance our classroom instruction and such. So I was a personal recipient, so I'm very, very grateful to the FFE for their work. And we also wanted to acknowledge appreciation for Nancy Van Leeuwen's gift to our PTA. So I know Nancy's here. Thank you very much. We certainly appreciate that, and we know that we'll put that to good use. Our building started renovation several months ago, right after the holiday break, and they're moving. I will tell you, they're moving. I've seen new outlets. I used this is kind of not gross, but I used the restroom and didn't have to turn a handle. I just put my hands under the faucet. So that, to me, helps keep us a little safer, a little healthier. So thank you. But our library is just about all packed up, too. So some major renovation is going to be starting very soon there. We just finished up March's Reading Month, and our goal was kind of a baseball goal, so the kids really batted it out of the park with their reading, and just in time, because as I said, our library had to get packed up. So I'm very fortunate to be in this profession, to be at Hickory Woods, and to be working with the great educators that I work with there and the folks that I work with across the district. So we're very happy with where we're at and what we're doing. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we have Cara McAllister.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me or letting me speak to you tonight. And tonight was delightful. I enjoyed seeing all the students here. I guess my whole comments have to do with asking for increased transparency and communications with taxpayers, parents or not, in the district. And I mean, it would be easy things to do, like on your website and in communications, just so parents know more of what's going on. My name is Cara McAllister, and I'd say most taxpayers are alarmed at how extremely political our public schools have gotten. And as elected officials, you, the school board, are not only to approve curriculum, but to represent those who elected you. Please think about whether the curriculum that is recommended to you is what the majority of the people want. Is it really in the best interests of underage children? Because 99.8% of the children K through 12 are going to be underage. Or is it a fad, or is it a political dogma you are pressured to choose? The success of this district and the children lies in your hands. Kindergarten through 12th grade kids are underage minors and who belong to their parents. Parents and legal guardians are the only ones who should guide and teach their children morals, information on sex and reproduction, and religious and political perspectives until they are adults. We do not want to co-parent with the schools or co-parent with teachers' unions or the government. We want schools to teach academic subjects and sports and music and art like you saw tonight. The curriculum and goals of our public schools has gotten way out of line. Parents, you should know, and you should look online a little more about what the American Federation of Teachers, the teachers' unions, the Michigan Department of Education is suggesting. You probably won't like it. A lot of us think that they're trying to get in between you and your children. So when people leave this district, if they do, please consider that might be one of the reasons, as all public schools are doing. Parents, please know there's help available. It's called greatschoolsinitiative.org. That's Great Schools, plural, initiative, singular.org. We have a 4-page opt-out form for you to submit to your principal. If it's not honored, we'll back you up. It is actually illegal per Michigan sex education law for your opt-out form not to be accepted. So know that there's help available and that there's something called a sex education advisory board that you can serve on, you can request, as well as clergy and teachers in the district and outside the district. So those are the types of things that I think should be available to parents online, as well as bathroom and locker room policy. A lot of schools are allowing transgender students to use those without
time is up, ma'am.
letting the parents know. Thank you.
Hal Wolf. Hal Wolf.
Good evening. My name's Hal Wolf. I've been a resident of Commerce Township for over 31 years, and my youngest graduated from Walled Lake Central in 1999, just to give you a bit of a reference here. I want to thank the board for the discussion last meeting on some of the budgetary items, and I'd like and the new members for initiating those discussions. I think it's important for everyone to know just what goes into a cost, i.e. the Chromebook. It's not just the device, it's the software, et cetera, and people should know that. Secondly, you discussed a $30,000 expenditure for slop buckets and cat litter. Not real happy about that, given the fact that what was discussed also there was possibly getting armed officers in the schools. To that, I would like to have everyone take a look at the back of the room and notice an armed peace officer for this meeting. It may, in fact, be necessary, or you feel it necessary. That's fine. I get it. But you're not affording the same courtesy to the students in the schools. Either you put the bucket in the corner here and take this poor guy out, or put people like him in the schools. Lastly, I'd like to leave you with a two-word phrase. Most of you should know it. If you don't, I would suggest you look it up. The phrase is loco parentis. I will give you a hint.
30 seconds.
It does not mean crazy parents. Thank you.
Melissa Paul. Melissa Paul.
Hello, hope you're enjoying this lovely weather. I'd like to read to you a quote by a local director of school security in another nearby district, who is responsible for the hiring of security guards, whom they call security coordinators, in his school. He says, quote, "Response is critical and best handled by highly trained and professional on-site security coordinators. Our school security coordinators are assigned to each school and serve a very specific role. Law enforcement is a critical partner in school safety and security. However, they can only respond to a crisis or emergency. Our security coordinators are in a position to immediately react to a crisis. School board, you are now sitting on a $1.4 million grant to use specifically for school safety and security. I did the math. You can now hire the right security guards, which all of our schools need, and have money left over. If you are smart about it, find qualified retired officers who already have insurance and pension, if you don't slow walk this, and if you don't waste it. There is a petition at WLCPR.org, which any teacher, parent, grandparent, or concerned citizen may sign to request a security guard in each of our schools. It just became available. Already there are over 100 names. One signer said, "In the country where I'm from, we have a security guard in every school and daycare. I'm shocked it isn't the same, especially in the US." I would like to end by reading something written by a decorated retired police officer specifically for this school board meeting. Quote, "I have been working security in schools for the past 10 years, after a full 25-year career in law enforcement. From day one as security officer, I have been welcomed by the students, staff, administrators, as well as the parents of the students. There is not a day that goes by that I don't hear a thank you or a thank you for keeping us safe from someone related to the school." He goes on to say, "The bottom line is this: schools need security, but too many people brush it off saying, 'It won't happen here.' Try saying it to the parents of the students killed or injured in the recent school shooting in Kentucky, or the parents of the students killed or injured in the 377 school shootings across the country since Columbine in '99, or to the 349,000 students who in some way, shape, or form have been affected by school shootings in the US. It shouldn't be a political issue anymore. Our children's futures are at stake. Those children need protection in schools on a daily basis. Security officers in school are the first line of defense, even before police and emergency personnel get there. With unwanted armed subjects approaching school property, time is critical. Having armed security on school property can be there for that critical time schools need, with the appropriate use of force needed in that critical time frame. Please consider this for our kids' sake," end quote.
Lisa West. Lisa West.
Good evening. So first of all, I'd like to go ahead and just kind of give a little appreciation note for a few people in the district. At Glengarry, there's a gentleman named Brian who always delivers food in the mornings. I see him as I drop my daughter off for prime time, and he's always just so friendly and with a smile on his face, and I just wanted to recognize him. Also, to Mrs. Kohansky and the teachers at CHS for helping me navigate the Chromebook situation that I brought up at last month's meeting. And finally, for Mrs. Bresky at Northern for her being very helpful regarding some concerns and giving students the best opportunities in the LRC program. What I really came here, one of the things I came here to talk about was the School Safety Grant Fund. First, I'm glad to see that funds are being considered for the AED. I think it's really important in today's light. It's unfortunate we even consider these things, but I'm glad that it's being considered. However, I still don't see where there's a list of priorities that are going to be included to update the safety features around the district. Since our last meeting in March, there were a couple of school shootings, and I have brought up numerous times, multiple people have brought up numerous times, the issues that are around our district. And you guys can be held accountable if you don't address these situations. I don't take this lightly. I don't think the people in this room take this lightly. Our school and our students and our staff deserve better. So as I mentioned before, with over 20 buildings in the district, $1 million doesn't go very far. And as board members, it's your job to be fiscally responsible with the district's funds. Portable toilets that were approved for the purchase of a cost of $30,000 at last month's meeting does not show prioritization nor show fiscal responsibility, especially when other items are needed. I, along with others, have given suggestions of items that our school should have, as well as items that staff members would find useful or other districts have found useful, but there's no feedback. I hope and pray that there's never a situation where these items are needed, but not provided because you thought a budget took priority. Do our second-story classrooms have window ladders if there is an emergency, such as a fire or a lockdown situation? Do our delivery doors, like cafeterias, have cameras to see who's on the other side of the door? Have you surveyed staff to assess their safety wants and needs? Have you made sure all locks are working properly? Have you looked into night locks or stop the bleed kits that were suggested in my last email? And finally, I want to address the prime time care, as I saw the rates were increased. And speaking to a parent recently, they pay $800 a month for 2 kids at prime time, both morning and evening. And that's almost unaffordable for low-income families. So I'm hoping that you'll take that into consideration and find a way to cap the cost so that way it's affordable for all.
Time.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if I can read the last name. I think it says Linda Brandis. Is it Brandis? Okay, sorry, I wasn't sure. Thank you. I'm sorry. I just wasn't sure if it was an R or an S at the end. Thank you.
Oh, you're fine. Madam President, Dr. Bernia, board members, my name is Linda Brandis. I'm a resident of Commerce, a mother, a grandmother, and I come to you tonight to speak about the issue of school safety as well. 2 weeks ago, the unthinkable happened again, and this time, writings were left behind by the gunman that made it clear this was calculated and planned. She targeted the school because she knew it was a soft target with no protection in place. In fact, she made the decision to shoot and enter through a school glass door because she knew she could. It's only due to the local police and their exemplary training that they were on site and killed her within 15 minutes, no doubt saving lives. I'm here tonight to ask what is being done to ensure the safety and protection of our kids. Has there been any discussion about armed security guards or reliable locks for doors for our children? What about security cameras or metal detectors? I noted from the last school board meeting, as it seems many of my neighbors have as well, that there was a vote to approve a purchase of a classroom lockdown kit for 800 classrooms totaling $30,000. These kits contain buckets to be used as toilets. I question whether this was the best use of funds when our kids are at risk. I look at those children lost in Tennessee, and you know what I see? I see my grandson's face. I knew this would get me. He's the exact age as those children that were killed. I want something done before this tragedy comes to my home and my family. Some worry about armed guards at school, and think they don't prevent school shootings. CNN has reported recently that armed guards are now being returned to schools in Denver after they were originally taken out by the District Board of Education because of the beginnings of the George Floyd time period. The mayor now says the ban was a mistake. Why does it take an actual shooting for common sense to prevail among school boards and administrators? Let's get serious about safety before something happens in our community. What is it going to take to have a serious discussion about putting security officers in school? How much is too much for my grandson's life? How much is too much for every child in your care? I understand there's a $1 million grant for the school safety, as we've started to discuss. Will you, Madam President, make the commitment to me, to the parents and citizens sitting here tonight, as well as the hundreds that are watching online, to create a coalition of school officials, teachers, parents, law enforcement, to come together and find a use for those funds that will keep our school and our students safe from our own tragedy, which could happen. I have one sentence left. These precious children are our future. What we cannot afford is to lose them to misguided ideas of societal change at their expense. Thank you.
Tim Sawmiller. Tim Sawmiller.
Good evening. Tim Sawmiller, Commerce Township. As you can hear, there's been a lot of chatter about a grant of money available to the Walled Lake schools for security and how this money should be used for armed guards in the schools. I believe using that money for armed guards would be a waste. First of all, if my understanding is correct, this is a one-time grant. So that money would last a year, maybe two, then what? In addition, armed guards or armed teachers, as with armed police on the streets, the assumption is that the shooter will be neutralized only after shots have been fired. Returning fire expertly can save others, but that cannot save the first victim. Unless there's an active preventive action like lockouts or stop and frisk, an armed response strategy assumes there will be an acceptable number of casualties before a shooter is neutralized. So the question becomes, how many casualties is acceptable? If the answer is 0, an armed guard solution fails. And we have seen armed guards fail totally, time and again in many school shootings. Something else is needed. If the goal is 0 casualties, you must invest in prevention and deterrence. Many school doors are mostly windows. We have seen those shot out entirely, bypassing a locked door. So maybe we should invest in bulletproof glass, if there is a glass that can withstand a barrage from an AR-15. Or maybe bullet-resistant metal doors. Another idea is metal detectors. Just having them will provide a level of deterrence. And there may be other more tangible methods for establishing security in the schools that will last for years to come after a one-time expenditure. Ultimately, I don't think there is a one-size-fits-all security solution. It will take many methods to attain an acceptable level or degree of security. I urge this board to consider all of these ideas and others and openly advocate for robust firearm regulations. Thank you.
Next, we have Dorina. I'm going to spell the last name because I probably won't say it right. It's G-J-E-K-A-J. Thank you. My apologies. I didn't want to mess it up.
Good evening. My name is Dorina Jakai. I am a parent of 2 students in this district. To my husband and I, our children's safety is our top priority. School should be the safest place on earth. But unfortunately, in the recent years, they seem to be the first target for mass shootings and violence. I apologize about my emotions. At the last board meeting, you had a discussion and voted on some lockdown supplies for our schools. What you really should be discussing is how to secure our schools. In high school, I had to experience a lockdown. And I really don't want to go into details of that story, as you can imagine. But one thing I never thought of was the bathroom issue. I don't think anyone would think of that in that type of situation, because nobody really cares. We were fearing for our lives and praying to make it out of that building safely. There is so much more for you to discuss in terms of safety of our students, teachers, and staff. We can do much better than that. Our students and teachers deserve so much more. Those buckets and toilet tissue you are going to order could have easily been donated by parents and community members. For the four of you that thought those buckets were so important, could you please explain to our community how are those buckets going to save our students when their life is in danger? Also, how long are you thinking a school will remain on a lockdown? We need you to increase the security in our schools by having a police officer or an armed guard at every school. If the police officer standing here at every single board meeting did not make you feel safer, then why do you call them to be here? Since we are paying taxes for schools and police departments, why can't each one of our schools have a police officer so students and teachers can feel safer just like you do when you have one standing here? I am not really sure which one of you came up with that idea of those buckets, making it so important, like the most important thing in your list. But if you really think increasing security in our schools is less important, I suggest you resign from this board. Especially you are spending thousands of dollars on some toilet paper and buckets. The child is the beauty of God presented in this world. That greatest gift to a family, Mother Teresa.
30 seconds.
Board members, superintendent of our schools, district administrators, we are sharing our greatest gifts with you every single day. Please consider their safety your top priority. Thank you.
Teresa Renaud.
Good evening. I am Teresa Renaud, District Director for State Senator Runstad, and it's an honor to be here supporting our mutual constituents, our elected officials, superintendent, and administration. We are in a very profound situation right now. You know, I missed last month, but I heard a lot about some different things. Obviously, we have a lot of, passion, emotions going on right now, and I'm going to follow up with that woman's comment. Our children are a gift from God. We're all responsible, but we're sharing them with you. And the primary responsibility that we're giving to you is education, academic education and safety. And I think the senator would, I'm sorry that I'm actually probably a little bit emotional right now, but I know education and safety is important to him. Prioritizing safety and getting it right is probably one of the number one top priorities of this group right here. So I will be thinking of all of you and asking for guidance to our God that we make the right decisions. So thank you for this opportunity to be here this evening.
Karen Mitchell.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Karen Mitchell, and I have two daughters in Weld Lake Consolidated Schools. I'm here tonight to express my concerns with the safety and security of our schools and administration buildings within our district recently. I'm concerned with the choices made recently for our district spending. The Board of Education voted 5-gallon buckets. The Board of Education voted for 5-gallon bucket commodes for our classroom, 5-gallon buckets for our children to urinate and defecate in case of a mass shooting in our schools. Not only is this disgusting, but it's completely unsanitary. Walled Lake Schools has over $1 million and a security fund to help improve the security and safety measures in our schools. This is a gross management of our tax dollars. They spent over $30,000 and bought 5-gallon buckets for every room in our buildings, which the majority of your teachers don't even know even exist out there. So somebody may want to put a memo out there so they know that these exist. And every building so our students have a place to defecate during a mass shooting. To say I'm mad would be an understatement. I'm completely outraged. I send my girls to school, and I'm so happy there are no kids in this room right now. I send my girls to school every single morning not knowing if they will come home alive that day. And what I mean by that is tomorrow. I'm just going to put it out there. My 17-year-old daughter's sitting in class. Boy sitting next to her decides that day he's going to bring in fully loaded gun into that building in his backpack. Not one of you people even know that this kid's got this gun in this classroom. He decides, what the hell? Why don't I just start shooting up this room while I'm at it? Start shooting the room up. Literally. How would that make you feel? That's how I feel every single day. So then the question is, what do we do? How do we stop it? We sure don't buy 5-gallon buckets to defecate in. Our neighboring school districts, I really encourage all of you to start talking to them. We have a neighboring school district that has a dog. Her name is Rosie. She's the sweetest thing ever. Actually met her. I am a huge fan of these therapy dogs. Huge fan. My daughter uses our dog Willow at Keith on a daily basis. But if I could just ask for you to take a look at this dog, Rosie. She's a multitasking dog. She's not only a therapy dog, she's a bomb-sniffing dog. She sniffs out weapons, and she also sniffs out drugs. The dog has a handler and is used within the school district. One other thing I want to let you know is that we can seriously make these changes happen. However, they're not going to happen if we continue to allow nonsense being voted in.
Time.
One final message I would like to say, my daughters are very well aware of these 5-gallon buckets, and believe me, they will not be using them during a mass shooting or a lockdown. It's the last thing on their mind. So I would like to see for you guys to seriously start spending this money a little bit more wisely than what you are.
Thank you. Kayla Toma.
Hello, my name is Kayla Toma. I welcome the opportunity to address the school board members. I am a precinct delegate and a lawyer, and I come from the Chaldean community. I think it's important for you as school board members to ask questions and probe every aspect of the various programs the school district is engaged in. No one who identifies as an expert on a subject should be immune to questions and challenges. Often a different perspective or insight results from a civil discussion of facts when questions and challenges are presented. Yes, you as school board members may not know everything, but neither do experts. Let me take a moment to speak about the issue of the Great Schools Initiative, the GSI. Childhood used to be a time of innocence. Unfortunately, as our culture has become more and more sexualized, children have become the casualties of adult exploitation. So efforts to expose our children to what many parents consider to be age-inappropriate content and to make parental notifications opt-out difficult or impossible undermines a parent's constitutional right to control their children's education on sensitive topics such as human sexuality. Public schools should not be the place where children are exposed to radical sexual ideologies, transgender ideology, gender fluid concepts. The use of pronouns is, yes, considered radical by many millions of Americans. It is bad enough that this is being shoved down our throats as adults as a new norm, but it is especially horrific that children, the raising generation, are being immersed into this. Yes, I am well aware that citizens as myself, in expressing my opinion, will be labeled hateful, homophobic, right-wing extremist, emotionally unhinged. Whatever you want to say, so be it. Labels are resorted to when people can't address the issue as at hand with sound reasoning and thought. And another plug for the Great for letting the sexualization of children creep into their classrooms, since their irregular opt-out forms don't properly protect children from their unacceptable exposure. It's a welcome event that parents are taking matters into their own hands with their own opt-out forms, such as the one that GSI provides. School teachers, administrators, school boards should not be dictatorial on this matter with either take our forms or else the Michigan Department of Education is wrong on this issue, and it needs to be called out, and it will be called out. Thank you.
Stephen Hatch. Stephen Hatch.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Hatch. I have a child who attends Walled Lake Northern High School, and I'm here to voice my concerns regarding the sexualization of our children. Over the past year, I've read several articles about school board meetings here in the great state of Michigan where parents have been detailing instances of sexual topics being addressed in the schools. A few examples: Midland, Michigan, in January 21st, 2022, where children were exposed to the idea of being a furry and even provided a litter box in one of the unisex bathrooms. Dearborn, Michigan, October 11th, 2022, where parents voiced their objections to sexually explicit material being made available to their children through the school library. And in Portage, Michigan, December 12th, 2022, where a $10,000 grant was awarded to the school to provide students with a gender-affirming closet. Now this stuff, these examples are what concerns me, because my views and opinions concerning sex, sexuality, sexual relationships, sexual orientation, and gender differ from what is allegedly being discussed between teachers and or other state employees and the students attending these schools. Now, my views and opinions are rooted in my religion. The definition of religion here being a personal set or an institutionalized system of religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices. And it looks like to me, in schools today, that the topics of sex, sexuality, sexual relationships, sexual orientation, and gender are being addressed from only one perspective. And this perspective is so unified in its views and opinions that I think it is fair to label that perspective as coming from a religion. Meaning that the views and opinions held by many members of the LGBTQ community can fairly be stated as rooted in a religion. The cases of Everson versus Board of Education of Ewing Township, 1947, McCollum versus Board of Education, 1948, and Engel versus Vitale, 1962, were the fundamental rulings of the Supreme Court that removed religious teachings from our schools. These decisions made it clear that teachers and other state employees are prohibited from discussing, broaching, or alluding to religious topics with other people's children while at school. These decisions also set a precedent that teachers and other state employees are limited in the topics that they can discuss, broach, or allude to with other people's children. Furthermore, these rulings also set the precedent that it is the parent, not the teacher or other state employee, that has the right to determine what their child is taught in school. It's my request that if a teacher or other state employee is prohibited from expressing views like mine, such as the sanctity of marriage, the peace of mind of abstinence, and the clarity of only two genders, then they should also be prohibited from discussing, broaching, or alluding to the topics of sex, sexuality, sexual relationships, sexual orientation, and gender.
Time.
Those topics should be left to their parents and the child, and your policy should reflect that. Thanks.
Thank you. Christy Rust. Christy Rust.
Good evening. I had sent an email to all of you on the board and some of the administrators, maybe not all of them, regarding the sign that is at Geisler Middle School regarding who they accept. I don't have a lot of issue with it, but I do have the issue with it stating that they accept all sexual orientations. These are middle school students who are from age 10 to 14. We shouldn't be talking about sexual orientations with 10-year-olds. It doesn't matter. We need to keep their innocence, and we can be accepting of all people and not worry about who they're in love with and those kinds of things. So while I'm waiting for an email back from Mr. Riley at Geisler to find out where the poster came from, how many are there, are they all over the district, I would like someone to go take it down and change it, because we shouldn't be talking about sex with our 10-year-olds, especially at school. I also wanted to touch base a little bit on the security guards at the schools. You all know I work in a different district, and we have a security guard at every school. I love having him there. We've had some instances where he has come in very handy. And with our walkie-talkie system, he comes to my classroom at the end of every day because I dismiss my kids out the back of the building. So he's there with me every day. However, we had a situation where CPS had to be called, and because you never know, I mean, many of us are educators. When you have to call Child Protective Services, you're not sure what's going to happen when a family is notified. So for a number of days, my officer wasn't back with me, which was fine, because he went to the other classroom where they were concerned that possibly that parent, that significant other, there might be an incident at the end of the day. So what better place to have someone that has a gun there protecting those kids? So it's just one instance how we utilize our security officer, and he's amazing.
30 seconds.
You can see tonight the passion of the majority of this room that wants to keep our kids safe. You've got multiple emails. You have people speaking to you one-sided. I just don't know why we can't have a community conversation where we can dialogue back and forth about our ideas, your ideas, what we think might work. Bring in the law enforcement. Bring in people that can help us decide what's best for our children to keep them safe, so that we as a community don't have to experience what so many other communities have. So I implore you to pick a date and let's have an actual conversation with those of us that want to keep our kids safe, because I think we all do. Thank you.
Becky, I think the last name is Behrens. Am I close? Behrens, thank you.
Good evening, members of the school board, and Dr. Bernia, administrative staff. My name is Dr. Becky Behrens, and I have here a bottle of Tylenol. Now, we all know that these bottles are not easy to open, and they are made that way to protect children from access to them. And we don't want them to harm their physical bodies. I also have here a pretty thick book called a PDR, which is a physician's desk reference. It's very heavy. I use this a lot in my practice of medicine. It contains warnings about side effects and proper dosages of medicine so that physical harm is not created. So my question is, what about the potential harm and side effects of material absorbed into the minds and emotions of children and youth? What about the effect on them spiritually? There are a number of books in our high school libraries that can have adverse effects on young people. I believe we should protect our youth. Remove the obscene, reject the extreme. One of these books, which is present in 2 of our high schools in the Walled Lake School District, is entitled Push, written by Sapphire. This book is about the life of a teenager who is heavily sexually abused, whose life changes when a mentor teaches her to read. This book has explicit sexual activities, including incest, molestation, sexual nudity, excessive and frequent profanity, racially insensitive commentary, drug use, and violence, including self-harm. Now, I am not going to create a spectacle by reading excerpts from this book to you. You know where I'm going with this. It would be considered in bad taste and inappropriate, but apparently not so for high school students. So I will submit to you the material that is obscene and inappropriate for you to review in private. Now, there are people who consider themselves quite educated who will get all worked up, screaming, book banning, heaven forbid, we can't have that. Or they will say such a book is cutting edge or has socially redeemable value. Or it gives a needed dose of reality to teens so they can relate to those who have been abused. Really? Can anyone here defend graphic sex acts and violence as socially redeemable? There is a vast amount of research detailing the harm of exposing kids to sexual content. Yet we have media, corporations, school educators, medical societies, again, the so-called educated, smart people in our society who think there is value in exposing kids to the gritty and dirty part of life. Common sense should tell us otherwise. Let me finish my thought. 50 years from now, people will say, what were they thinking? To our educators, I say, remove the obscene, reject the extreme, and protect the minds and hearts of our children, just as we would protect them from exposure to medications that harm their bodies. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Kubik, do you want to speak? Okay.
Hello. I'm not a great speaker, but I'm going to tell it like it is about a person named Dennis Wazinski. I don't know if someone else was going to speak of him. I went to work for Wall Lake Schools in '88, and he was the director of special services, and he was a man. He was a good man, and he cared about kids. He cared about the staff. He cared about teachers and even the paras. He cared, and he gave so much. And at one point near the after 30 years, they asked him to step down, and he said, no, I'm not ready to retire, because he became a principal or vice principal at Wall Lake Central, and he had fun. He had some fun with those kids, and it was a great year of basketball there. But what a man, and we've lost him, and I hope that the district does something to say thank you, somehow to let people know about the goodness and greatness of Dennis Wazinski. I can't tell you, when he spoke about the children, you just wanted to cry because you could feel that he cared so much about them. And he was wonderful with me, because I fight if I believe something's wrong, and I will stand up. And I would stand up to anybody that bugged me. I don't care how high up they were in the school district. But he listened, and he was fair. I hope we can get back to great people in the district. I don't know if you have that many. And we haven't had a good special ed director since Dennis Wazinski. So I hope this new one that you just put in, after several other kind, I hope this one will make it great here in Wall Lake. I really do. But remember the name, Dennis Wazinski. He was worth remembering. Thank you.
Thanks. Nancy Scher. Nancy Scher. Hope I got that correct.
Well, thank you, everyone. It's wonderful to be here this evening and see so many passionate people. I am actually a kindergarten teacher over at Meadowbrook Elementary, and I just want to talk about our shining moments within our building that maybe not everybody knows about. We feel like, since COVID, we are these flowers blossoming, and we know that. The kids are back in school, our masks are off, things are getting back to normal. Some of the things that we celebrate in our building is that our iReady improvement this last year was phenomenal when we look at our fall to our winter scores. And our new principal, Mrs. Van Wagenen, who is willing to sacrifice herself for a dance party or a pie in the face if we can rock it even farther. She is really quite a good cheerleader for us, and we just love it. We just completed our March's Reading Month, where we raised the roof with reading, and I will tell you, those kindergartners, they documented every minute No, Mrs. Shara, it's 22 minutes, not 22. I got an extra 2. So it was so wonderful to see the passion of those little ones. As an educator, we're in our K through 2, you know, we're getting the new units of study with Lucy Calkins and her team. We're embracing it. We are, our kindergarten team is utilizing the new units starting mid-year, which is really a challenge to switch a curriculum in the middle of the year, but this one is meatier and better, and we're ready for the writing units as we approach the next couple of years. We celebrate our literacy intervention team, our leaders there, Maria Kuzmich and others. We had our Tidbits with Timbits, and this was a little literacy activity. We did a breakfast instead of an after-school activity, and the attendance was crazy. Who knew Timbits would bring in so many people? It was wonderful. We celebrate our first musical since COVID. We're starting up Girls on the Run. This is wonderful. Our PTA is back in full swing with our fun run and our bingo nights. And then our student council is really getting involved, and we love to see that student involvement. We just completed Penny Wars. We're going to find out tomorrow who the winner was, and all the proceeds go to the Humane Society. And then next week, we're off to Spirit Week. And so when the board is visiting us next week, we know, and it's Hat Day. Miss V said, make sure you guys wear your hats, because it's Hat Day on the day you guys arrive. So thank you very much, and we're very proud of our kids at Meadowbrook Elementary.
Heather Martinez.
Good evening. My name is Heather Martinez, and I identify with the pronouns she, her, and hers, and I respect the rights of everyone to use their own. I'm the parent of 3 students at Walled Lake Northern High School. I wanted to ask, I asked at the last board meeting, and I didn't hear back from anyone, what happened to the money that was in a GoFundMe account that was being used to previously sue the school district, which included a current board member? I didn't hear back from anybody to hear where that money went. The next question I have, and I asked last time, are there any current board members that are members currently of the Thomas More Society? That society is set up for the sole purpose of taking away public education in the United States. I also want to know, why is there a board member on our board that chooses not to bring their children to our school district? Furthermore,
You need to let
I
her
want
speak.
to know.
I'm sorry. I understand, but we've let everybody else speak. Thank you.
I also would like to know, where can I find out more information about the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee for our district? I was told that we had one, and then it was taken away. Please let me know where I can find more information out about who is involved in that and how we can support as a community for those efforts. I also want to know, I heard that there was a student in one of our AP classes that wanted to do a project concerning Roe versus Wade, and she was censored. I really want to know, and I hope that this isn't true, because I heard that it was done by a central office employee, and if that's the case, they jeopardized our district's right to have AP classes in this district. That cannot happen for our students, especially our high school students that work very hard to try and get further in their education and set up for success in college. Finally, I want to thank our educators and our police officers who put their lives in danger every day to be supportive and keep our students safe. Those are the same people that our society has continued to undervalue and devalue over the last few decades. And if we want these people to continue to do the jobs that they're doing every single day in keeping our kids safe, then we need to take a look and see what we're doing for them and make sure that we're supporting them, because they are the ones that are putting on their lives every single day on the line to make sure our students are safe. So please, when you're coming up here and talking about things, make sure you're also putting your money where your mouth is and supporting our police officers and our teachers. Thank you.
Bill Cussy.
Good evening, everybody.
I'm Bill Cussy from Wall Lake Western, and on behalf of our staff and students at Western, I'm here to give us some of the shining stars that Western does earn every year, every day. And Erin Muller was also here. She's a former grad from Walled Lake Central and attended all 12 years of school through Walled Lake Schools. The first thing I'll mention is that our new building is underway. Students and staff are very excited that we'll be in a 21st century building, planning more interdisciplinary lessons with engaging and applied learning. Bill Chatfield did ask me today about the beams. What is nice, the construction crew has 3 beams up in the front of the building for students to sign, and then there's one in the teacher's lounge for staff to sign. And it looks like to be one of the ceiling beams. And the thought of the next time that building is, let's say, remodeled or tore down, most of us will be passed on because it'll be 50 years. And I've been a proud member at this in this district for 28 years and been through the remodelization of Western. And I do remember some of the staff when I first got hired in '98 saying that one of the big arguments was the furniture, blonde or brown. And it's funny because the architects have a classroom set up for desks and different types of furniture that may go into that building, and staff and students are able to look at it and try to see what's going to work best. And it's just a great feeling that we and the students have a say in what's going on. We had a great football season. Basketball season wasn't as great, but football season was great, made it to the playoffs. Pat Dzinski had 2 jazz band performances at the MSA BOA in Troy, and one team finished in 2nd division and the other in 1st. Beth Smedley took 21 students, some parents and some staff, to France, Switzerland, and Germany over spring break 2 weeks ago. Kim Chumney got an AP Environmental Science book Foundation for Excellence grant. Prom this year at Western, something that I've been a class sponsor, I'm not a coach, is going to be at the Henry Ford Museum. And I always love that because if you're not a dancer, you have something to do because the museum is open. And it's just a great, great venue for our prom. Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy Van Leeuwen.
My name is Nancy Van Leeuwen. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a former teacher. I'm a former school board member. I have done a lot around here. But I have some comments to make, and I apologize, Mrs. Kaplan, because I'm probably taking one comment away from you. But I want to express the real strong appreciation to the staff at Oakley Park Elementary and Wixom Elementary for their contribution and hard work in raising funds that they contributed to Lakes Area Youth Assistance recently. Over $4,000 was raised by those 2 schools, and that will in turn come back and help the students of the Walled Lake School District. So thank you very much to those particular schools. I also want to comment that we in Walled Lake, and I know it's inappropriate to speak back to someone who has spoken at this podium before, but we have excellent people in Walled Lake. We have people who care. We have people who want to do the work of everybody. We have people who are devoted to the students, devoted to the parents of this district, and I believe in my heart of hearts that the professional staff in Walled Lake is second to none. Thank you.
We're going to now move on to administrative commentary. Dr. Bernia?
We're going to start on this side tonight with Dr. Lons.
Nothing at this time. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Durkin?
Nothing this evening, Dr. Bernia.
Mr. Chatfield.
Thank you, Dr. Bernia. Just wanted to let the board and the community know that Wednesday, April the 19th, we will be conducting what is referred to as a topping out ceremony at Walled Lake Western. As Mr. Cussy just mentioned, we have beams inside the school right now that the contractor's placed in there for students and staff to sign. The topping out ceremony is it has a long history in the construction industry as commemorating the completion of the installation of structural steel. So it's going to be a fun event for the school next Wednesday at 1 p.m. And as Mr. Cussy mentioned, people who sign that beam will be forever immortalized in the Walled Lake Western Academic Wing edition. It's going to be pretty cool. So, and that's a great milestone because that keeps us on track to begin closing in the building and to be ready to open that new edition in the fall of 2024. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Russo?
Nothing for me this evening, Dr. Bernia.
Mrs. Less?
Nothing for me either, thank you.
I wanted to share two things. I didn't want to take away from the recognition of Lisa Heitch at the beginning of the meeting, but I know her husband, George, was headed for home, and he said he was going to watch on the live stream tonight, which I would think that he, as somebody who was a longtime superintendent, Dr. Heitch was a longtime superintendent in Oakland County, I would think that he would have better things to do with his evening because he's had so many school board meetings under his belt. But Dr. Heitch was one of my mentors. He took me under his wing when I was 27 years old and a very young school administrator, and saw something in me that I didn't quite see in myself just yet. And so I wanted to take this opportunity. He was here tonight to thank him for that. And then another one of my mentors, whenever it got to this time of year, would remind the entire audience that it's getting warmer, and so now kids are out on their bicycles. So keep your eye out. Be careful.
Go to board commentary, and Ms. Tice, I remembered you get to be first tonight.
Well, it's just really great to see so many of you out this evening. So thank you for coming and sharing your evening with us and just getting engaged in what's going on in our schools and in our community. I want to congratulate our Apple Award winners and just thank them for a job well done, and also congratulate our art winners. I'm always amazed at their just their talent and their ability. Especially, I'm not artistically inclined at all, so it's quite amazing to me to see all of that. So I wasn't able to be at our last workshop that we had, so I just want to thank Terry for taking time out of her busy schedule to meet with me and get me caught up on just all the budget stuff that we went over in the last meeting. She just works so hard and just does a great job with her job, and just want to thank you for taking that time with me a couple weeks ago. It is quite tragic what happened a couple weeks ago in Nashville, and my heart goes out to all those that were affected on that tragic day. And you know, I want to thank our officer that's here tonight, and just you know, just my appreciation for all the men and women in our community that put their lives on the line daily to ensure our safety. I know that that's a topic that's near and dear to our hearts, and to obviously many of you who expressed your concerns tonight. So thank you for sharing those concerns with us, and you know, many have also emailed us concerns, and safety is an issue that is quite concerning to me as well. So I really look forward to being able to collaborate with my colleagues here soon, and hopes of coming up with some effective plans to protect our students and staff.
Mr. Siegler?
Sometimes our students can be truly remarkable, and you, as a parent, as a grandparent, as a community member, there are few things that shock me or take my breath away. But recently, a group of our middle school students was in Washington, and I believe it was Clifford Smart. Students were placing a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. To watch it on Facebook, I will tell you, I was sitting there crying. It was something that made me proud as a community member, proud as a parent, and proud as a board member that our students had the ability and the dignity to express something that sincere, and I truly thank them for it.
Anything, Mrs. Fernandez?
Yeah, first of all, thanks again to all those who volunteer in the district. I think it's great for that. We had that call out, and I'm still thinking about the fact that fifth grade camp is going on right now. It's a wonderful thing. It's how I started in the district, and just sending good vibes to the folks that are working with those kids, because it's got to be a lot of energy that's going on over there. I also wanted to just say, I'm as we start to go through these series where we have recorded meetings and there's virtual participation, I'm excited by that, and I hope that it is driving the engagement and participation of the community, and that we keep doing that so that we reinforce each other and we begin to have healthier, more robust conversations in the community as a whole around the issues and topics that are important to us. I personally am interested in continuing some of our earlier discussions around just the mechanics of how some of those things make it to minutes, and how we add items to agendas, and how we go about, furthering these conversations and bringing them to, not only discussion, but action. And so thanks to all of the community who's either watching or listening or participating. These are your schools, and we're to serve the community, and this is helpful for doing that.
Mrs. Kaplan, anything tonight?
Yes, I just want to say thank you, Mrs. Van Leeuwen, for taking part of my discussion tonight. I, too, want to say a very big thank you. And I have a huge check sitting over here that was given to Leah from Wixom Elementary and Oakley Park Elementary. It is greatly appreciated, will be greatly used. Thank you, Mrs. Russell. I see you sitting back there, for the generosity of both your schools. Leah definitely appreciates everything that you've done for us. On a different note, I want to congratulate all of our WLP members and our color guard, who are state champions, some of which are in Ohio right now, going on for national competitions. So congratulations to all of them. Next week is Tarzan at Walled Lake Central. I hope that you all come out to see Tarzan. It's going to be a fantastic show, so please get engaged in that. And I appreciate, all of your comments on safety and security. It is very near and dear to, I don't mean to speak for all of you, but for all of us and all of our hearts. And we are here to make sure that your children are safe as much as we can possibly attest to. And so we are looking at security, and we will continue to be looking at security for our students.
Mrs. Levin?
Thank you, Mrs. Casagrande. Since our last regular meeting, I had the great pleasure of being a mystery reader for March is Reading Month, and I told all the classes I would shout them out. So thank you to Mrs. Weckstein's and Mrs. Haddad's second grade classes at Dublin, Mrs. Raymond's junior kindergarten class at Pleasant Lake, and Mrs. Estes' kindergarten class at Keith. I had a great time reading with you. Thank you all for showing me your schools and for having me. I know we are now in the home stretch of the school year with nicer weather and testing and bicycles, and not much more time off. This can be a really trying time for teachers, so if you're inclined, send a note of thanks and coffee to the teachers and staff in your life as they make it through the finish line with your kiddos. Since our last school board meeting, we had a special meeting where we talked about the budget and agendas and policies. I really enjoyed finally being able to have a two-way discussion with the rest of the board, and I'm looking forward to those discussions continuing. More importantly, I'm looking forward to those discussions leading to meaningful updates and changes to how things operate on the board and around the district. I would hate to spend all that time talking for the end result to be the same as where we are right now. I've seen all the emails, heard all of the public comments from parents about a number of topics, including drugs and school safety, and these remain a top priority, for the board and for me. Just this evening, the board did receive a copy of a report, a security report. We can't share the contents. We haven't really reviewed it yet, but our next meeting will have discussion about school safety, and I'm looking forward to really diving into the recommendations from the report. And I'm glad that things are starting to move along. I know that the board has received communication about a demand letter, and I know that there's still some more information coming. I want to, thank Dr. Bernia for providing us with summary updates, but I'm hoping that there are still more specific updates coming about, specific actions as a result of the letter that was received. And unfortunately, I have to be a little vague on purpose, but I'm hoping that the board will receive, some more detail about, the results of an investigation, plans going forward, things like that. Finally, I do want to point out that our discussion meetings, if you've noticed our board calendar, we're having more meetings, every month. We're having what I'm calling a second meeting of the month. So usually the third, this month, I think the fourth Thursday. I don't have a calendar. But those meetings are where we are going to mostly talk about certain topics that we've brought forward to Mrs. Casagrande and Dr. Bernia that we want to talk about. Those meetings are not live streamed. So if you want to hear what the board is talking about and see that two-way discussion, I encourage everybody to come to see it. Public comment is still allowed. But I think that it's so important for the community to really understand the discussion behind a lot of these topics. For many years, votes were 7-0. There was no discussion, no transparency. And so now that's available, and I hope that people will take advantage of that. So thank you all for being here, for sticking around. Thank you, fellow board members, for everything that you do. Dr. Bernia, for everything that you put up with. And I hope that everybody's enjoying the weather because it's going away.
Mr. Peterson, anything this evening?
I want to mention that we've just gone 30 days on a really important milestone in the district. And that milestone is that we are live streaming these events that we have worked so hard for such a long time, for the sake of transparency and for the ability for more in the district to be able to review and see what these proceedings are and have some involvement. I've had so many people this month respond to me that they've had the opportunity to go back and re-review or watch these proceedings. It's been a long time coming, and it's just not just board members like myself who have really advocated for a long time, but previous and past board members. So I'm very thankful that we have made this plateau. And I think it's already seemingly, we're kind of moving past it as what it is, and kind of taking it for granted already. So it is an important milestone. I want to thank a lot of people that were involved in getting this accomplished, and that there's a guy on the other side of that wall that does a lot. I'm sure he's listening to right now. We had surprisingly interesting data from the first meeting that was broadcast last month. We have no clue how many people have re-reviewed it, but I know from just the comments I've had throughout the district, a lot. So I will say, just heads up for all of us. It's been a great day.
And I will just, a couple of things, not to repeat a lot, but I just wanted to mention with Tarzan the Musical that I happened to run into Mrs. Denise Dunn, who used to serve on this board. And it's even more special when you realize that somebody who is here serving and is still a volunteer in the community in other areas as well, that she is behind the scenes for Tarzan the Musical almost every single night. Knowing her, she's probably watching us while she's doing this, but her daughter has a lead role in Tarzan the Musical, so she's pretty proud of that, and her daughter is amazingly talented along with the other kids, not to take away from any other ones, but when you know somebody is kind of extra special. Also, I've been seeing a lot of things on the district feed and on social media about the signings of our sports and athletes who are going on to sports after college, so that's really exciting to see. It's also wonderful to to see kind of the end of school starts to go fast, right? And then before we know it, we'll be graduating students, and that's what we're all here for, is to support them in whatever their next journey is. And the last thing I want to very deliberately say, We did have a very brief superintendent update on goals, and I told Dr. Burney I was going to do this, and I know he doesn't always appreciate the attention, but he takes the good, the bad. He's out there in the community. He's trying to get to know people, and we just brought him here, less than 6 months ago. Before we know it, in June, we're going to be, doing our first evaluation with him. But we, from the board, want to thank you. We appreciate the work you're doing, what you've accomplished to date, the different ideas you're bringing forward, but also preserving some of those things that people really appreciate about this district. And we just want to say thank you. I think that your goals update that you gave us in our closed session, which is absolutely your right to do so, gave us a lot to think about and also showed us a lot that you've already accomplished. So we want to say thank you. Appreciate that. And now we're going to move on to the consent agenda. On our consent agenda, we have the approval of minutes from various meetings that we had on March 9th. We had three of them. On March 23rd, we have two of them. We also have personnel recommendations, new hires, retirements, financial reports from February 2023, disbursements in the amount of $16,158,541. We have purchases under $50,000 for advanced placement biology high school textbooks. And that is not on there anymore. We have a Head Start Director's Report, and may I have a motion? Mm-hmm.
I move that the Board of Education approves the consent agenda as presented. Support.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And our next agenda item is the K through 2 science curriculum recommendation. Dr. Bernia.
Mrs. Kohansky could not be with us this evening due to another commitment, so Dr. Lons lost the coin flip. Dr. Lons.
Thank you, Dr. Bernia. The current K2 science curriculum was adopted and purchased in 2005. This curriculum no longer aligns with our current Michigan science standards. Based on the results of the examination of available curriculums, it is the committee's recommendation to adopt Serial City Science by Battle Creek Area Mathematics and Science Center 2022. This K2 science curriculum is an accomplished STEM Works program. Serial City Science provides a science kit for each grade level, extensive teacher support, professional development, and online support. The cost of the curriculum materials will not exceed $112,000 and includes all teacher support materials, professional development, online access, and shipping.
Thank you. That's our first reading, and we'll bring that next month. Next is our Head Start cost of living adjustment, the COLA funds. Dr. Bernia.
We are going to go right back to Dr. Lons, who's regretting his decision to call tails.
This is why I do not go to the casino. President Biden signed the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2023 into law on December 29th, 2022. All Head Start, Early Start, and EHSCC partnership grantees are eligible to receive COLA and quality improvement funds. The COLA budget narrative and the program narrative for the 2023 will increase Walled Lake Schools Head Start program funding for the period of January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023 in the amount of $32,913. The COLA amount provided to Walled Lake Head Start of $19,329 will be used towards step increases for Head Start employees based on the Walled Lake Para Educator Association approved increases from July 1st, 2022. The quality improvement funds amount provided to the Walled Lake Head Start of $13,854 will be used towards fringe benefits for Head Start employees based on the WLPA contract.
Mrs. Kaplan.
I move that the Board of Education approve Walled Lake Schools Head Start cost of living adjustment budget as presented.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next, we have a resolution for the MHSAA cooperative team application. Dr. Bernia.
We're going to go back to Dr. Lons.
Thank you, sir. As the board knows, this is not the first time that we have come forward with a request for a cooperative team application. Just as a point of reference, the purpose of these is to make sure that we can still have the sports available to all of our students that are interested in it. Without a cooperative agreement such as this, it would be difficult, if not impossible, to maintain that opportunity. So for tonight, Walled Lake Central, Western, and Northern high schools are requesting to combine their programs and form a junior varsity girls lacrosse cooperative team for the 2023 spring season due to low participation numbers. Combining the JV girls lacrosse programs will allow all three schools to participate in girls lacrosse at the junior varsity level, while Walled Lake Northern High School will still continue to maintain its girls varsity lacrosse team. Administration recommends the board approve the Michigan High School Athletic Association cooperative team application. Just as a point of reference, if we would have combined everyone at the varsity level, that team would not have been allowed to compete at our state competitions. So we had enough at Walled Lake Northern so they can maintain their status, and this then maintains the ability for us to have a JV combined team.
Perfect. Mr. Seeger?
I move the Board of Education approve the MHSAA cooperative team application to combine Walled Lake Central, Western, and Northern High School girls junior varsity lacrosse cooperative team program for the 2023 spring athletic season.
Any discussion? Mrs. Kaplan?
So just so I'm understanding, Dr. Lons, so the teams from Western and Central get combined with Northern for just JV, but they cannot play varsity with the Northern students.
That's accurate.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I just want to thank you for the district for doing this, because we, are still able to offer the program, and I know the parents and the students appreciate that. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next, we have the 2022-23 budget amendment. Dr. Bernia.
We're going to turn it over to Mrs. Less.
Thank you, Dr. Bernia. The administration has evaluated the budget line items as we do throughout the year, and adjustments have been made to more accurately reflect 2022-23 revenues and expenditures.
Have a motion? Mrs. Kaplan.
I move that the Board of Education adopt the resolution to amend the 2022-23 budget as presented.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Move on to some purchase for, I'm just going to send it, just purchase. I'll send it right over to you, Dr. Bernia.
All right, let's begin with the first purchase for Keith Elementary School. Mr. Chatfield.
Thank you, Dr. Bernia. We have tonight for your consideration the purchase and installation of a interior courtyard turf system for Keith Elementary. This is a project that the PTA has worked hard at fundraising, and at Keith Elementary we have an interior courtyard that is very difficult to get to, very difficult to maintain, and they would like to put a turf system in there to provide more educational and instructional opportunities for students. So the PTA would be funding the total cost of the project recommended to be awarded to Environmental Land Management in the amount of $89,671.80. The PTA would be funding $44,671.80 of that, while the Keith School Picture Fund, which has a substantial balance, would fund the remaining $45,000 of that project.
Mrs. Levin.
I move that the Board of Education approve the purchase and installation of the Keith Courtyard Turf System from Environmental Land Management in the amount of $89,671.80, with $44,671.80 funded by the Keith PTA and $45,000 funded from the Keith Elementary School Picture Fund.
Any discussion?
Mrs. Cascarano.
Mr. Peterson.
Yeah, I just want one clarity. Basically, you're asking the board just to allow the facilities to be updated by the graciousness of what they've done at Keith on their behalf. Is that really what the question is? I'm just trying to get this one. It's a great idea. I just want to make sure that you're asking the board just to give access to the property. Is that it?
Board policy requires that the board approve a project of this amount.
Right. They've done a great job raising the money to do it, and I just wanted to make sure I was clear on that position.
Any more discussion or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next, we have a bid award. Dr. Bernier?
Right back to Mr. Chaffin.
Oh, do we, okay. I was gonna say, did I miss something? Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Bernia. Next up, we have a recommendation for a roof replacement project, roof area A at Geisler Middle School. This is an original roof. Geisler Middle School, as most people know, is a large shingled roof. However, in the very middle of the school is a small rubber roof membrane that has deteriorated. It actually partially blew off over the course of this winter. And we've taken bids. We recommend awarding that project to Newton Crane of Pontiac in the amount of $127,000.
A motion, Mr. Siegler.
I move the Board of Education approve the bid award for the 2023 roof replacement program, roof area A, Geisler Middle School from the city fund.
Any discussion?
Question.
Mr. Peterson?
Mr. Chatfield, can you explain to me why we chose the sinking fund to do that, since this is a phase 4 bond school? I'm just curious how we make that balance.
Sure. We have, over the past several years, we funded almost all of our roofing projects with the sinking fund because the cost of roofing and the cost of every construction-related project have increased significantly. So we're doing our best to make sure that the bond budget stays within budget. And so by funding these side projects that, frankly, this one was not originally projected to be completed in this project, with the sinking fund, we will have no detrimental impact on the bond budget.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Equipment usage request, Memorial Day Parade. Dr. Bernia.
One more time, Mr. Chatfield.
Thank you, Dr. Bernia. The Walled Lake Schools Transportation Department has participated in the City of Walled Lake's annual Memorial Day Parade for many years. A Walled Lake Dean Transportation bus driver drives the bus or buses in the parade procession, which provides a great public relations opportunity during what is a highly anticipated community event. This year's Memorial Day Parade is on Monday, May 29th, 2023. Administration supports participation by the Walled Lake Transportation Department and allowing them to use up to two Walled Lake buses for the parade. The employees will donate their time to drive the buses in the parade and clean them up afterwards.
Mrs. Kaplan?
I move that the Board of Education approve the request of the Transportation Department to use up to 2 buses in the City of Walled Lake Memorial Day Parade on Monday, May 29th, 2023.
Support.
Any discussion?
Mrs. Casgrande?
Mrs.
I just
Kaplan?
want to say thank you for, bringing this to us and letting our buses be in the parade. If you haven't gone to the parade, it's a fantastic parade to go see, and it's very nice to see our buses roll down the street. So thank you.
Yes, Mr. Peterson.
With the special knowledge in this area, I want to thank the Dean Transportation people for their kindness of their heart to donate all the giveaways that they also utilize during this day. They go to a very large extent, a lot of donations from all the bus drivers and so. So again, let's give them a special heads up. Thank you.
All right. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. We now have board policy regulation updates. Dr. Bernia.
Madam President, for your review tonight is some administrative regulations, specifically fees and fines, that you will see for your review, specifically school schedule, facilities, and the facilities outdoor center costs. Fees have been updated to reflect the rates for the 23-24 school year, and this is for your review.
Okay. Thank you. We appreciate that. We also have a board meeting date change. The 2023-24 board meeting dates were publicized, as you all know, back in January 2023 at that board meeting. And to better accommodate board member schedules, the board is going to consider moving the August 17th, 2023 regular meeting to August 24, 2024. Yeah, why does it say 23? It is. You're right. We could. But you know, it is after 9. So, yeah, we're doing pretty well. So, I will go ahead and make the motion. I move that the Board of Education move the August 17th, 2023 regular board meeting to August 24, 2023. Any further discussion? I know we talked about this at the workshop. This is a date that worked better for us, and it still worked within the business that you might need to get done in August as we almost start back to school. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0, and we are adjourned at 9:15. Thank you.